Welcome to Ahead of the Times, where our news travels faster than Ebola in a 747.
Hong Kongese protest in the streets, but is Hong Kongese the right word for them?
Ebola makes it to America. If it can make it here, it can make it anywhere.
Secret Service gets an earful, and not through one of the things in their ears. And now for the latest on Ebola in America, we go to our senior potential Ebola victim, Toby.
Ebola first surfaced in Dallas, where an African man who showed up to a hospital with it was mistakenly sent home. In fairness, Texas authorities are used to telling foreigners to just go back where they came from. One of the side effects of Ebola is severe weight loss. The development could be a major boon to the healthcare system. Authorities are telling people not to panic and that they have things under control. On the other hand, that's what they do in every disaster movie. They say they can halt the spread of the virus, but they can't halt the spread of measles after Jenny McCarthy tells people not to get vaccinated, prompting Congress to issue emergency restrictions on Jenny McCarthy's mouth. My prediction, now that Ebola is in the US, it'll apply for an EB1 green card for being exceptional in its field. For the latest out of Hong Kong, we go to our senior We Used to Own You correspondent, Ola.
Hong Kong residents protested when China ruled that all candidates for head office would have to be approved by the central government, unlike in a true democracy where candidates are only approved by special interests and party hardliners. They had been ruling by the One China, Two Models policy, wherein both China and its regions are China but have different forms of government. It's kind of like the One Child, Two Mummies policy, just a bit harder to explain. The influx of mainlanders to Hong Kong has brought economic benefit, but also political tensions. It's as they say, Mao money, Mao problems. The protests shut down many central parts of Hong Kong, leading to a marked drop in luxury good purchases. And that's the problem with these protests. It's always the innocent coach bag retailer that has to suffer. Initially, authorities responded with tear gas and violence, but backed off when they realized it was leading to bad media coverage. As part of the effort, Instagram was blocked. Last thing the government wants is for the issue to be presented as black and white, with all the focus on the protesters. The protesters called off talks, but Beijing showed no signs of backing down as they faced concerns in Tibet and other regions. In fact, when the protesters insisted that Beijing would capitulate, their leader responded, "Do you want to bet?" The US offered tepid support for the protests, balancing a general support for freedom with a very specific support for nearly free manufactured goods. It's hard for the US to stand up in a way a teenager can only be so critical of their authoritarian parents when they know they'll need to borrow $20 later. Since most of the protesters are students, I predict Beijing will just learn to speak their language and promise democracy. But they just need an extension.
For the latest on governments being unable to handle civilians, we look at Secret Service blunders in our new segment, The Playbook, football breakdowns of the news.
The Secret Service has had lots of scandals recently, from the initial revelation that they'd been patronizing prostitutes in Colombia to several security breaches, culminating in a homeless man infiltrating the White House. I think we have footage of him being injected. Let's go to Toby with the playbook breakdown of the latest breach.
A lot of reforms were made after that scandal. Let's look at the field. How was somebody able to penetrate the highly regarded Washington defense? He starts the run here, then leaves the neutral zone and immediately draws a defender. Draws the tackle, penetrates through the gap into the backfield. Now, it was initially said that he was stopped here, but later revealed that he stiff-armed the blocker, cutting through to the end zone. Meanwhile, Secret Service agents were having their regularly scheduled 15-minute timeouts with Colombian prostitutes. Cutting down that time was one of the rule changes we talked about earlier. He was finally taken down by an off-duty officer who was not even suited up. Though they have changed the story a few times. By the time all the revelations are out, we'll probably find that he made it through the East Wing to the West Wing, went to Obama's bedroom, took a bath, changed into his clothes, and gave a few press conferences.
The head of the Secret Service resigned just after 18 months in the job. Can you tell us about that?
Here's a shot of her appearing before a congressional inquiry, where you can see her career prospects go like this.
Well, at the end of the day, she's the one that got sacked. If you enjoyed this episode, please share the video and subscribe to stay ahead of the times.